In The Two Faces of January, I play a man whose name is definitely not Chester MacFarland. Although at first it seems that that is his name. You find out later that this is a man who's had many names and is accustomed to changing his identity and changing his location. This man, he's with his wife, played by Kirsten Dunst, whose name is not Colette. We never find out what's the beauty of the stories. You're never really sure what their names are, much less where they're really from. It's not just my character, it's also Kirsten's character and Oscar's character, who subvert your expectations, I think, as an audience. All three characters, in very interesting ways, run out of luck. And it's how you get there that's what the story's about. Haas is directing his first movie here, and not a short, not just some experimental movie, but a full-on big feature, you know, an ambitious story set in 1962, when he first talked about doing this project, you know, this 3 years ago almost now. I read the script and thought it was very clever, really well written. And then when I met him and heard his ideas for it, I thought, well, that's really ambitious, and that's exactly the right way to do it. But I thought and said to him, you know, this is going to be difficult. You're going to need a fantastic art department, you know, makeup, costume, everything's going to have to be just right. I don't think anyone ever felt like it was a first-time director. I mean, he prepared so well, made the most of the opportunity to shoot this movie to such an extent that the first day just felt like a continuation of a process of getting ready, of already working together. The movie starts and you feel like you've already missed something, but you know there's something that already happened. I mean, that in a sense, certainly my character is trying to make up for something that's not explained, that he's done wrong. It's going to be okay now, we're going to have a good time, and he goes out of his way to take his wife to these beautiful places and stay in very nice hotels, but there's a certain tension underneath. When Oscar Isaac's character, Rydal, meets this couple, he functions, I think, in a way as the audience. He sort of starts to see that everything isn't as pleasant as it seemed to be. They aren't as perfect or as friendly as they seem to be at first, you know, and after a bit there's a certain paranoia that creeps in. There's a certain restlessness, you know, which then becomes you know, real trouble also for Rydal. He gets mixed up in something that he never would have wanted to get mixed up in. The script is really good, and the preparation, I think, by everyone was really, really good for this movie. And that gives you a certain amount of freedom, especially when the director's saying, I trust what you're doing, and I'll make adjustments when I need to. So there was a looseness. And I think from that looseness, there's more of a human quality than you often see in period pieces. Period pieces. It's a little more raw and messier than you'd expect for this kind of movie. It'll have a certain, I suppose, from the poster, from the trailer, it'll feel, I suspect, correct and interesting and dramatic, and then these people behave in ways that sometimes you just look away, not hopefully because it's bad acting, but you look away because it's a little too close to the bone. I didn't know Oscar or Kirsten before starting this, and it's a little bit luck, but it's also a willingness to take a chance and dive in there. And when all three of us did that, which was, I think, almost always, the other, there's a safety net there. Just to, whether it's two of us working at a time or all three of us, there was a good chemistry, a good dynamic between us, because it didn't matter if someone sort of went off the rails a little bit. The others were there actually listening and reacting to that unexpected behavior on a given take, and out of that came things that surprised the director, that surprised us, and that were usually appropriate for the story. I think it's going to be one of those movies that will be a lot of fun to watch a second time as well, because knowing what happens, then you're going to be looking for all those little things. You'll catch a lot of them as you go along the first time, but I think the second time, I think it'll be really fun to watch. And there were many moments in this movie where we looked at each other, when we finished shooting a scene, let's say, and we said, well, that scene was complicated to do, and it was a complex scene when you read it, but we've made it more so. There are more layers than we thought, once you start doing it. And if you have a director who allows you the freedom to explore, then you can really have some fun. I like movies that end leaving you wondering, now what? Or what did they really want? What did they really desire? Why did they do that? Why did they say that? Why did they behave in that fashion? And that's why I think it's a true film noir movie, because all the characters are flawed. All of the characters have regrets. All of the characters make mistakes. We often said to each other, we are so lucky. Look where we are. Look what we're doing. Look at the places we're seeing as we're doing this. And for an actor, it's obviously very helpful. When you're shooting in Knossos, you're really there. Or you're in the Parthenon on the Acropolis. You are in the Gran Bazar in Istanbul, Turkey, running for your life. It makes a big difference. I think that when people see this movie, they'll look at it that way. They'll say, wow, that's the way movies used to look. They used to be in these places. They used to look that way. And actors will probably look at it. I would, if I wasn't in this movie, I would look at it and go, wow, I would love to do a movie like that. And hopefully, film lovers, people who like really good movies, will appreciate the fact that it not only looks right and we went to those places, but these are real people. Real, flawed, surprising people in situations that are dramatically interesting and sometimes quite disturbing.